A while back we put in this retaining wall. It's made of stone. It's got a nice round feature to it. Very nice, adds a lot to the yard. The only problem is it doesn't match the sidewalk at all. The sidewalk's not rounded, the sidewalk's made of different material, and it's just not a good fit. We've got to replace it, get rid of it, and put a new one in. Now, this is a job most do-it-yourselfers could not handle on their own because it takes a lot of manpower and it takes some pretty heavy equipment as well. I have Randy Miller with me here today. He's from A&A Construction. Randy, good to see you.
Nice to meet you, Glenn.
Now, getting rid of the sidewalk did take some heavy equipment, as I just alluded to. It took a jackhammer and a big old saw as well.
That's right. We showed up with about 5 guys yesterday morning, and we used the saw to make some segmental cuts in the concrete to actually make smaller pieces out of the sidewalk, and then it's a little bit easier for us to take out. So once they made the saw cuts, we fired up the jackhammer. It probably took us about 45 minutes to an hour to get it out of here, load it up on the truck, and send it off to the recycling plant.
Most important with this project, Randy, we have to start out with a good base. Can't just use this dirt down here right now because it's just too soft, that's for sure. So we're going to use some sand mixed with cement.
That's correct, Glenn. With base in this condition, if we were to put pavers over this sub-base, we'd be doing repair a couple years down the road.
Or with a good rain, maybe a couple weeks down the road.
That's very right. So for today, we're going to mix some Portland cement and some sand in the existing soil.
And those two mixed together make for like a witch's brew, an interesting chemistry that really gives us a solid base. Now it's time to add our cement. And this is Portland cement, and it's a great bonding agent.
Glenn, now that we've got our Portland cement and our sand in here, I'm going to take this pick and try and blend these two together with the existing soil. Typically on a larger job we might use a tiller to get a good mix, but on a smaller job like this, a pick will be sufficient.
And we've got to mix them together, of course, because that's where that chemical reaction comes in that I talked about. That's where the bonding is.
That's correct. The sand comes in and it breaks up the clay, and then the Portland cement then can bind with the existing clay particles and unite the soil together to create a good foundation that'll keep the pavers from shifting years down the road.
There we go, we're popping our chalk line. Now let's talk about the height of the chalk line, why that's important.
Well, Glenn, this chalk line represents the finished elevation of the concrete pavers after we were finished compacting.
Right, and the pavers being the bricks we're going to use.
Yes, sir. We like to keep it about 3.5 to 4 inches below the chalk line because the interlocking concrete pavers are about 2.5 to 2.25 inches in thickness, and we require about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of sand underneath the pavers to get a nice sand bed for a nice aesthetic look to the pavers.
And of course it's important to note that this soil was moist enough, we didn't have to add water, but to get the correct chemical composition for it all to bond together, we would have put some water down if it wasn't moist.
That's right, Glenn, but in today's conditions it's plenty wet enough. Before you start to compact, we might want to put a little sand down on top of the base to help the compactor glide evenly on top of the surface.
I definitely want it to glide.
Well, let her rip there, Glenn.
We can't stress foundation enough. We have a regular base foundation. Also, Randy, build in some step foundations.
That's right. Once again, we're talking about foundations. This is what a concrete footing. What we've done here, Glenn, is we've come in here and excavated the ground to pour approximately an 8 to 10 inch deep footing by a foot back, which we'll use to adhere the concrete pavers to form the step.
And these determine the slope of your pathway to your house. You don't want to have Grandma walk up a 90-degree grade. That's not good.
Right, we've taken all that into consideration, tried to get 3 steps of equal dimensions with a suitable grade here.
Nice and curved here.
Yes, what we've done, we had the opportunity to pour a curved footing to incorporate the retainer wall curves with this.
And that's going to make the two styles come together. It's going to look really good.
What we've done here, Glenn, is we've excavated a trench approximately 6 inches deep by 6 inches wide to install these future irrigation or electrical sleeves.
Very important, thinking ahead. On a project like this, it is a must. You have these PVC pipes down, and of course, Randy, then down the road, if you want to light your walkway up, you want to put it in the irrigation system, you don't have to dig up the path again.
That's correct. By preventing that, you won't damage your existing base applications, which may cause the pavers to sink and maybe do a little shifting on down the road.
So now we're going to cover this thing up, we're going to put the sand down, we're going to compact it again, and we're on our way.
And we're off to the races.
All right, there we go. Popping another chalk line to make sure everything is straight and true all the way down the path as we put down our pavers. We want them to form a straight line. And these pavers really can't just call them bricks because they're kind of grooved there on the side.
That's right, Glenn. All the interlocking concrete pavers come with spacer bars on the sides of them. That ensures that all the sand joints to be of all a consistent spacing, lets the sand pass up in between the joints and actually lock the stone up.
It's like a really simple jigsaw puzzle.
It's really nothing to it. Once the chalk line is popped, it's just a matter of setting the pattern, which when you lay right on the chalk line the first time, it ensures a straight pathway. There you go. We like to lay when you have an opportunity to lay a straight sidewalk, we like to lay pavers from the middle out. That way you can place the border right exactly straight on the edge as you go. In this instance, the border falls right here at the edge of the step.
In a perfect world, all the paver stones would fit perfectly, but we do have some spaces, so it's not exactly a jigsaw puzzle. Pretty close, though. What we do is we take the stones, we make a mark right down the middle, and we make half pieces that we can drop in there. We use this guillotine splitter. We have our mark there. Let me get my goggles on before I do this. Always got to be safe, Randy. You know that, right?
Safety must.
It's a contractor's creed. There we go. There we go. Why don't you put that in there?
All right. That fits pretty good. Sometimes if they don't fit exactly right, you can just use a little chipping hammer, do a little trimming. Like the bevel you got on there, it makes it real easy. Fits like a glove.
Now it's time to put in the border, Randy, and this is a very critical step.
That's right, Glenn. This is what we call our concrete toe edge restraint. It's designed to encapsulate the sand bed and keep it from migrating out over the future.
You don't want any shifting.
That's for sure. Then after we went through all this hard work, the important thing here is to remember to keep it off your pavers and keep it about 1.5 inches below the finished elevation or the tops of the pavers so that your grass can easily grow over the top.
5 hours later, we're putting the finishing touches down. A little concrete sand sits in the cracks nicely. Wash it off, and we have the finished product. This cost about $10 a square foot, so this particular job cost us right around $2,200. Randy, you and the crew did a great job from A&A Construction. Thank you once again. It blends in so well. Look at that. The brick on the house fits in perfectly with the brick here on our walkway, and it blends in nicely with our retaining wall, with the curves here, the curves here. Another fix-it-up job done right.